Pavlich here for townhall.com. We're with author Joel Miller, who has the new book out, The Revolutionary Paul Revere. So let's talk about your book.
Sounds good.
I know it's long, so I'm not going to ask you to summarize the entire thing in a couple of minutes, but do the best you can.
It's a biography of Paul Revere, tracking his life, beginning, in fact, before he was born, when his father, as a French refugee, came to Boston, and following the family all the way up through the end of Paul Revere's life.
Great. So we hear about Paul Revere a little bit, but I don't think people understand how big of a role he really did play in the Revolution. So can you explain that a little bit to people who kind of know his name, but not really the history behind him?
Yeah, everyone knows Revere for the... Nope.
Just reattach that real fast.
Everyone knows... Where should I start? Here?
We'll just go ahead. It's okay.
Good.
So,
everybody knows Revere for, the teapots and, maybe the ride.
Right.
But that's about all for most folks. The truth is, Revere was engaged in a lot of political activism in his day. He was a person who connected an awful lot of different elements of Boston society, and those elements were mostly people very upset with the tax laws, very keen to see some change, and Revere was a very important figure in organizing those people.
My, how Boston has changed, huh?
Much, yeah.
Much, yes. So, what are the parallels between Paul Revere's thinking then and kind of the Tea Party thinking now, or people who are fed up with taxes and big government these days?
I think they're similar in many ways. The most obvious one is the fact that in Parliament in Britain, there was really no attention paid to the voice of the citizens, the colonists, back in Boston. And so there were many protests, there were movements to stop the excessive taxation, and I should be quick to say not just excessive taxation, but taxation period.
Right.
The colonists felt that they were wrongly taxed.
Right.
But there was no attention paid to them back in London. And I think that's one dangerous parallel for us today, the fact that there does not seem to be enough attention paid by Washington to the people raising the clamor today over taxes, excessive regulation, and so on.
To that point, I mean, we see the president come out and say he wants to invest. We have him proposing this $58 billion plan for high-speed rail, which obviously means more taxes. We see this healthcare bill, which means more taxes. Do you see what he did coming up as another issue in the future, or do you think that people are eventually going to accept what's going on and hopefully they'll just elect a new president in 2012?
That may be stepping further than I'm capable of speaking to. I will say that what CPAC represents, what Town Hall represents, what the blogosphere and all the things happening in social media represent is very similar to what was going on with Revere, which is these social networks connecting to finally be heard, connecting to finally get their point across. And I think what was powerful then is far more powerful now because of technology. And so there's definitely that shift.
So you said Paul Revere had many different roles that people don't know about. What do you think his most important role was?
It had nothing to do with the revolution. Mm-hmm. The most important thing Paul Revere did, the most revolutionary thing Paul Revere did, was really as an investor, as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, to set a course for his family and try to provide in a way that was really uniquely American. When you dig into Paul Revere's life, you see a man who was game to try any number of businesses, who was quick to try new things, very revolutionary, very innovative in the processes that he undertook in his business. I think that's his most revolutionary contribution, because he really gives us a pattern for what the American businessman is like.
Right.
And he did it way back then.
Is there someone in modern times today that you see as very similar to Paul Revere in terms of those principles and that risk that they like to take with businesses, who's willing to try new things?
I think there are probably lots of people like Paul Revere. I think lots of people like to think they're like Paul Revere.
Right.
So I'd be very slow to say that anyone was, in fact.
Right, there can never be another, right? Yeah. So do you think you would be a good role model for people who are going into business?
I think that's absolutely the case with Revere. If you want to get a sense of what an entrepreneur is like and how he thinks, and especially what he's like in the middle of a very busy life, because Revere lived a very busy life.
Right.
I think that's a wonderful story for that.
Right. Great. All right. Well, check out his book, The Revolutionary Paul Revere by Joel Miller. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
That's awesome.
Yep. Great. I'm looking forward to